We would play in the South a lot, and I just remember being totally looked at as an outsider because of things like having brown eyes. Like they'd be like, "Oh, y'all are from New York, or y'all Italian." Like we played at this place in Michigan, and I'll never forget there was like an Italian restaurant across the street, and we just went there because it was the closest place there, and it was just like so stereotypical, like really offensive, like how they were trying to be an Italian restaurant, and they actually had something on the menu called the Wop salad, which if you know what Wop means, that's a really derogatory word for Italians. But just like seeing those southern states in the Midwest, it was kind of a culture shock. Like as someone who's a lifelong New Yorker, but yeah, most of my touring experiences, were from the ages of like 16 to 21. I was really, really young. And, from like probably 21 to 26 when I was really, heavy into the hip hop production stuff, I was primarily, in New York, just based, doing New York stuff and, doing collaborations online. I traveled a bit when I was working on hip hop. I went up to Boston, and that was cool for my album Waiting for Carmine. I recorded a couple guys up there, and seeing that whole scene, like Rex and Terminology and guys like that, like they have a really cool thing going up there. um, and then I went to Los Angeles. I've been to LA a couple times, and I generally try to do something music related if I can out there. I met a rapper, Percy P, who ended up on my Waiting for Carmine album, which is my hip hop production album. I met him at a KRS One show, and we just kind of linked up, and we ended up talking. And he's really amazing. He's been on he's on the J Lib album with Madlib and Jay Dilla. That collaboration led to some other stuff. Um, yeah, and it's just it's been interesting. Like I said, I hope hopefully when things kind of resume back to normal, gamblers could start kind of carving out a touring career, because um, it's not that I intended on stopping touring. It's just kind of how things worked out. I was in bands, and we were super active, and we were running around doing a lot of things, and uh, those bands kind of fell apart or naturally ended, whatever you want to say. And I got into production, and then by the time I got back into doing things with gamblers, we were just pitching and showcasing and playing in New York, and um, then COVID happened. So I was trying to, I was at least in the conceptual phase of before COVID, obviously, um, figuring out some kind of tour support situation for the Small World album. We were talking about that, with our team. The Missing Piece group was potentially going to try to help us figure that out. But the good thing that has happened in terms of gamblers is that we've been able to, since we started rolling out all our material, and we put the album out, and we put videos out, our sort of stock, if you will, has been rising and gradually rising. And then with things like getting a radio play and the certain level of press that we've been getting, um, the idea is that it's going to be a lot easier. Well, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be somewhat easier for us to carve out sort of a touring career once that side of things resumes. I mean, we're in our 30s now at this point. Obviously, if we're gonna, the good thing about being 16 on tour is that you could live off of gas station food, and when you're 21, you could live off of beer and cigarettes. And now that we're in our 30s, we got to kind of take care of ourselves more, and obviously financially, it has to be somewhat worth it. Especially, even for me, if I'm on, like, all right, I'm the leader of the band, I'll do anything, I'll go on tour for free. And for me to have other guys involved, and to put on the show that I want to put on. Because if you watch Play for the Ghostlight, which we just put out, our live video, you could tell what the standard I have for performances. It's a high standard. I have a high standard for everything as far as our recording and our music videos and our performance and the people involved in what we do. And I'm never gonna sacrifice quality just to make something happen. Sometimes there's certain situations like the little goofy Christmas videos we made this year. Okay, did we really sit there and worry about quality? Not really, but that was more about having fun. I will never get on stage, and I will certainly never charge a ticket price if we're given the opportunity to charge a ticket price, but I would never get on stage and give some kind of half-assed performance or put something on where I'm not proud of it. Just like I would never put out a piece of music I wasn't, proud of, unless it was a side project band and the whole point was to do something crazy like Helicopter Goes Kaboom. So I think the way that we've sort of taken advantage of or flipped the script on COVID and not being able to tour is that we've gone, okay, what can we do to build our stock to get us in a position that when touring comes back, we'll be in a better better position than we were. And that's certainly the case now. And depending on when it comes back, I mean, we might do another live stream thing towards the end of this year, because it certainly doesn't look like shows are coming back anytime soon. And as I've mentioned, we're working on our new record. I just touched base with the person who's going to mix the record. They're on board. We could be looking at the same situation. Who the hell knows? But what I'll say is we're going to continue to work on growing what we can control and try to put ourselves in a situation where we can hopefully tour and honestly lock on with a booking agent. I've had a number of conversations with booking agents. Again, it was more when I was in that pitching phase of the first iteration of the band and I didn't have so much on the value side. But now we've got videos, that are out there that have done well. We got radio, we got press, so hopefully we continue on that trend and an agent can come along. And, the important thing about being an agent or having an agent, of course, like I said, we did a lot of DIY stuff, but now being older, it has to make sense monetarily. That's just a fact of life, I know that's not cool to say or, it's not like punk rock or whatever, but it's just a reality. And again, not for me, for me to be able to put the band together and get us on the road and do our show the way that we want to present it. We're probably, if it ever happens, it's going to have to be with an agent because it's going to have to be, the money's going to have to be there from a production standpoint, from a happiness of the people involved standpoint. And I'll be honest, that's what we're striving to do. And again, like we talk about, like, it's not cool to try and, having, dealing with why are we ambitious? But if I'm honest, and I think if most people are honest, like, it's not that you're out for money. It's just you're trying to do your thing in the biggest way you can, put it on the best platform you can, get the biggest response you can. And you never sacrificing anything about the artistic side. It's just that's what we're trying to do. I mean, so it'll be interesting to see how things get back to normal. If, like I said, if that's even possible at this point, as far as touring goes, and hopefully we could start carving out a path for that. If whether it comes back, in the next 6 months to a year, and we're still on the Gamblers end of the Small World cycle, or if it's on our next record, or our new record will probably be out in a year from now, depending on how fast things move, but we're working on it. So it's not that I wanted to stop touring after the age of 21, it's just that's kind of how my career took me, and we definitely will be working on getting back to a place where we could tour. But I just thought I'd share some thoughts on touring and some of my experiences. It's not that extensive, and I definitely left a lot out, but it was fun. I did a good amount of it for some years there, and looking forward to getting back. Take care.